I'm going to move on to the security of the nation now. Thomas, you've been writing quite a bit about this over the years. Now, this is pay boost that's going in. In your opinion, is it enough to stem sort of the tide, or is it just to keep the force viable? I
kind of feel like it's a keep the force viable situation at this point, you know. I mean, it's going to take more. Wage inflation's going to carry. It almost feels like they're playing catch-up, you know, and you've seen that in the Chief of Defence putting $60 million into one-off payments. Yeah,
they already did that this year, didn't they? Now they've got the pay boost as well. Rod Mark, I mean, you've been in the hot seat as a former Defence Minister. What advice would you give the government about the shape of the Defence Force right now?
This is the start. It's a good start. And you've got to say hats off to Andrew Little, because he's done more in 2 months than we've seen in the last 2 years. And I can tell you that there's been a distinct uplift in morale at all levels of the Defence Force based on what he's doing. He's taken the job seriously. He couldn't have picked a better guy because he's got his head across SIS, across GCSB. Yep. He understands.
So they've aligned all the portfolios now.
But this is a first shot. And Minister of Finance is going to just get his head around it, and his Treasury officials are going to have to stop saying to Defence, you've had your day in the sun, there's no more money. Andrew's not going to take it.
There's been $4.7 billion worth of capital spending, and now there's this extra money as well. Yeah, I know, in your time. Yeah.
But you need to keep ahead of that bow wave, and to prevent running into that wall of obsolescence where you have to throw in tons of money. You need to maintain.
Aren't we already there in the wall of obsolescence? We've got ships tied up and planes retired.
You're talking obsolescence as opposed to equipment, staffing. Okay. We've got the P8s here now. Okay. The C-130s are coming. The Bushmasters are here. There's a whole raft of new capabilities that we got through, but they can't sit there and ride on the back of that. They have to invest $1.5 billion every year to keep ahead of, to keep in line with the 2019 capability plan, and to keep ahead of the bow wave and to meet our
And do we need to spend that amount of money, Josie, so our allies think that we're taking security seriously?
It's not about that.
Oh, we certainly do have to up our game with defence. And I mean, remembering our Defence Force, I mean, they do amazing work in the Pacific every time there's a cyclone or an emergency. We have an amazing reputation as honest players who work well with local communities and so on. So yes, we do have to spend that money. You know, I know we're going to talk about AUKUS, and I think that's one where, it's not just about money, it's about where we position our defence forces. Right. And I think this is going to be really critical for New Zealand. I mean, we've got this geopolitical world where we've got, a US bloc on one side, a China bloc on the other side. We're being asked to make choices all the time. We shouldn't be making those choices. It's really hard, but we do need to do what Janet Yellen calls friendshoring. Make our own friends. Find countries like us, Japan, Canada, Korea.
Is it hard for New Zealand? I ask you, Thomas, is it hard for New Zealand to sort of project an independent foreign policy when you've got this kind of pressure that's going on? And I know I'll get to you in a moment, but you've got this sort of kind of pressure from allies saying, are you going to join this? Are you going to join this? Are you going to sign up for this?
Yeah, I don't know. I found really interesting Andrew Little's comments, because I mean he's sort of backed off from what he said earlier in the year around look, he had a meeting with Kurt Campbell, the US sort of White House and a Pacific czar, who came over and said, we want to have a conversation about Pillar 2. Andrew Little said would be happy to explore that conversation. Everyone took that as being New Zealand would be interested in Pillar 2, Yeah. But
you think his language has changed a little bit?
Well, his language has changed, but Hipkins and Mahuta have led that. So I think there's been conversations had.
Sorry, go on.
And it's about that independent foreign policy, and it's about the perception, or the idea of what is our independent foreign policy in the context of AUKUS.
Rod Mark, should we be part of Pillar 2 of AUKUS?
I'm not sure.
Is that because there's no detail, or because it compromises us?
Detail. It's always about detail. But look, I think Andrew's biggest issue is shoring up the confidence of our partners in New Zealand. We've gone from a point of being considered to being back in the game, interested in other people's security, and trade doors start to open. So it's not just about defence, It's about trade, it's about the economy, it's about... If you want to trade with me, I need to know that you're genuinely concerned about my safety, my security, my well-being.
Do you think our allies have been looking in askance at New Zealand and its spending on defence?
They're all, not just everybody. Every embassy is watching what we do. Whether you're talking about Southeast Asia, the Pacific Island, Pacific Island. Why does the Pacific Island get concerned about what we're spending on defence? Because they're dealing with the effects of climate change. They need to know that we have the capability to come to their aid when they need it. And we all know they're needing our aid more frequently to bigger and heavier weather events than ever before.
Okay,
we're just
going to wrap this up. Last quick comment.
That we should listen to the Pacific, because they've been navigating this tension between the US and China for a long time. And you look at someone like Fiame, Prime Minister Fiame in Samoa. She was very clear. You know, don't pick us off individually. We'll respond regionally as a region, not one country by country. So we have to actually. We should take that position now and go, hey, don't pick us off. We've got friends that are like us, small democracies who have the same values, who are trying to straddle both blocks.
And I'm going to leave it right there. Sorry, Ron, I know you've got lots more to say, but Jesse Picani, Thomas Manch and Ron Mark, thank you so much for your time today.